Ollie Show. The news.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Brock Lawley program. My name is Brock Lawley. I am your fearless host. This is the show that tackles the news headlines, sifting out the leftist alphabet soup Democrat Party lies, like the chaff that they are, most certainly are, from the golden, flowing, nutritious wheat of truth. I serve that up to your ADD reality television show, Fake News Minds, on a silver platter of rhetorical deliciousness. Finger-licking good morsels of deliciousness. That is the show in a nutshell. Ladies and gentlemen, Fort Lauderdale again. An act of terror. Still a big fog of mystery. What I will tell you is Fort Lauderdale, race relations, the state of utter terror that the nation's in, the lack of security that the nation's in, the lack of poverty that the nation's in, and the lack of jobs that the nation's in. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Barack Obama's legacy, and more importantly, Democrats in power, Democrats governing. This is their legacy. This is what you get. Democrats equal Detroit. Ladies and gentlemen, hashtag never again Democrats in power. Never again Democrats in power is what I say. Let's jump into the stories, ladies and gentlemen. There's a fascinating piece in the New York Times. I found it fascinating, at least. Did rural America push the election over the top? The answer is obviously yes. The New York Times editors are like buying Carhartt clothing and parting their hair and trying to chew on a little blade of grass, and they're wandering into the great unknown that is the flyover states and talking to people. Anyway, they did this interview. It's a fascinating piece, especially the cluelessness. They asked this essential, thesis of a question: why did rural Americans, why did real Americans, why did non-elites like us, the peons, the plebeians, why did they vote for Donald Trump? They essentially answer their own questions without even realizing it. But there's a pastor in here, a reverend in here, that's really a fascinating guy. It's worth checking out. Actually, it really is. Crowdhammer has a piece in the Washington Post. We better start paying attention to North Korea. I've actually been paying attention to this to some extent, and it is amazing. I've always found North Korea to be a big, huge mystery in my mind on many, many levels. Geopolitically, a fascination just by way of human sort of, just sort of a curiosity in so many levels I can't even articulate it. For one, why are they allowed to continue? So you got Fat Boy up there, total lunatic, starving millions of people in a blackout continent. If you ever Google Maps or bring your fingers down on your iPhone upon North Korea, it's terrifying. He starves his people, and we know this. Of course, we know this. There's defectors and various things. We also have all kinds of intelligence on this. But this is the real mystery. Not only is he doing this, and of course the genocide enabling UN and all the leftists waxing poetic about this and that, they don't do anything about this. The United States of America, Russia, China, the big players in the world, why are we tolerating this? Why are we tolerating this in 2017 is my question. I've always wondered this. Move in, murder, and kill every single person in leadership in this place. And, we're always talking about, we're going to push over the dominoes, and then we're going to have to deal with the mess. It can't get any worse. They have starvation camps. They have work camps. They've done genetic studies against North Korea, and they juxtapose them against their South Korean brethren, and there's like 5 inches of height differentiation. The DNA's breaking down. This is ridiculous. And on the cream on the top of this ridiculous cake is that they're threatening America and threatening the West with nuclear weapons. They dump all their money into nuclear weapons. China has got their back. The whole thing's preposterous. And of course, another spoke in a derelict of duty wheel that is Barack Obama's administration. Why are we not paying attention to this? Why is Fat Boy allowed to be up there testing nukes, threatening the West Coast, this country? Meanwhile, we're just making up nonsense about Russia this and Russia that to do nothing but pull the rug out from under a legitimate victory by Donald Trump, given to him by the will of the people. That's all this nonsense is. Instead, there's real issues going on. I mean, it's just remarkable to me. Retaliation entails high risks. Well, maybe it does entail high risks, but so does allowing Fat Boy to have his finger on a nuclear trigger. That also entails high risk by way of my thinking. The ability to nuke the United States extremely real as you look into this. Just a remarkable lack of what do we need a federal government for, right? Defense, rule of law, infrastructure, fail as far as the eye can see. It should infuriate you as your children lay their heads down to sleep in a nation that pays dearly out of their pocketbook to these bureaucratic goons that do nothing. It's infuriating to me. Meanwhile, the media, this is the Washington Post, but the mainstream media breathlessly reports on Russia hacking. And of course, I read it. This is the MSN.com I'm reading from. I read it wondering, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? The Russians heard celebrating Trump's victory. And they've pulled the wool over the CIA's eyes, and they've manipulated the election. This is all such total pageantry. Power over people. Total pageantry. The left's idea now is to just make up nonsense, throw it at the canvas and hope it sticks. Listen, are the Russians hacking? Yes. Are the Russians wishing us ill? Yes. Is China and Russia and certainly power players in the Middle East formulating cyber warfare, fronts and attacks on the United States and the prosperity and safety of our people? Yes. Why are you hearing about Russia? Because they affected Democrat power. They weren't concerned with your safety, Joe Sixpack. No. Because 8, 9, 10 months ago, the White House press briefing declared this to be a problem. No, they're concerned because they lost an election. And in their psychologically pretzel-like twisted minds, they have to find some sort of projection, some sort of, hologram to throw all the blame on. And this is it. But this isn't motivated by your safety or national security risks or none of that. This isn't motivated by any of that. It's motivated by them not being able to do business intellectually or otherwise with their loss, their defeat, their bloodbath, and they're hoping to throw nails and shrapnel on the road of the Trump administration's transition. It's despicable, but it's so reflective of the verminous, disgusting Democrat Party that is naked before you, ladies and gentlemen. I cite so many things, most of which the fact that they're caught stealing their own primary election. That's actually voter fraud. That's actually something we should be paying attention to. Not this pageantry, not this kabuki theater nonsense. It's infuriating to me. And all the major media, which was, by the way, wrong on everything. Let me reiterate that. All the talking heads, I like to call them the tan talking heads on TV, wrong about everything. Every step of the way, every primary, both parties, every single month of the national election, wrong, like a Chinese instrument. Wrong. So why, I ask you, are they out there being taken seriously on any level? Why, I ask you, do the American people in any way, shape, or form let them dictate anything at all? Anything, ladies and gentlemen. You know that friend of yours that scribbles out the March Madness paper? In every game he got wrong. Every game. Even the obvious ones, right? I mean, even the obvious ones. He's picking like North Mexico State University to beat North Carolina. I mean, every single thing he got wrong. Are you going to turn to this guy for sound advice? That's essentially an analogy for the media. It makes me sick. How much self-respect do we got to swallow as American people? They should all be shut down because of lack of revenue and lack of advertising. Because all of us stop watching them. You want to talk about an intel failure, by the way, that actually matters. How about German officials who liken in every way the policies of the Democrat Party? How about German officials, ladies and gentlemen? Remember that murderer? And again, they have a murder on Christmas Day. Now they have a murder on the Christmas Day bomber. Listen, the officials met 7 times together to discuss the danger of this man. 7 times they discussed this. They knew he was a killer, and they did nothing. Why? Bureaucracy. Why? Political correctness. Why? Because of his Muslim background. This is an intel problem. This is something that we should be paying attention to, not Russian nonsense. Obama on his race relations record. Quote, race relations haven't gotten any worse under my tenure. No, I blame the internet and cell phones. Meanwhile, Americans roll their eyes and laugh in his face. Barack Obama has left a steaming pile of horse manure in the place of race relations as he leaves. Let the door smack his huge booty on the way out, ladies and gentlemen. It is appalling. It is appalling what he has done to this nation. Of all the things that Barack Obama perpetrated against this nation, this is the one that I have the most contempt for. Because I know firsthand how many strides my generation alone was making in race relations. And this man and his administration and the bureaucrats and leftists that he surrounded himself with in power used race to divide America to ensure their power. And that is a sin. That is a sin that will haunt them by anybody who has intellectual honesty for decades. What he did was appalling. What the Democrat Party did, does, and likely will do is disgusting. They take race, they take class, they take gender, and they slice and dice for their own nefarious purposes, and it's disgusting. That's the race relation. That's the race relation legacy Barack Obama leaves behind. USA Today has that piece. Strassel has an amazing piece in the Wall Street Journal. Republicans need to sell their health care reforms. There's healthcare. What policies do Republicans have? They have like 20. They have like 20. It's all lies, all media. Every time you hear some Democrat or some hack on television, well, the Republicans don't have any alternative. It's just a lie. I mean, right off the top of my head, Paul Ryan has a literal plan on paper on his website. They're just lying. They're just outright lying. But let me tell you this. What the Democrats didn't do is they didn't sell it in the sense of merit. They covered it up. They hid everything. They lied. They told you can have your health care, but you want to give it, period. No, none of that. What the Republicans need to do is get out there and talk to the American people. Yes, the media will slander. Yes, the media will defame. Yes, the media will distract. But they need to do it anyway. Explain. Talk to the real problems. Talk of tort reform. Talk of price gouging. Talk of the fact that there's a disconnect between the insurer and the customer. Talk about how the actual product, which is healthcare, and the actual customer, which is you, is too far disconnected. Talk about how savings plans. Talk about all that crap. Talk about what actually drives up the price of healthcare. Talk about all the crap that the Democrats do that actually drives up healthcare. Every single time they sue or slander some drug manufacturer because they think it's in vogue with the millennials, they drive up prices. Every single time. Every time they lie and manipulate, they drive up prices. So, ladies and gentlemen, you need to explain this. You need to explain it to the American people. That's my opinion. And there's an amazing piece Strassel has. I find it to be fascinating. And ladies and gentlemen, look, it's not hard. People understand this to some extent. You just need to be transparent about it. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the celebs, it's every day they do this. They call for a month of rage and violence against Trump as the fascist president to be. Breitbart has an amazing laying out of this nonsense. I can tell you this. On the one hand, this is terrifying because the left actually lauds now these totalitarian fascist efforts. They think of themselves, let me tell you this, these celebs, they think of themselves as noble. As they call for violence, as they call for destruction, as they call for disobedience, lawlessness. Even though Republicans could have said every single thing they say about Trump, about Obama. We didn't behave this way. Conservatives didn't behave this way. What I'm telling you is that they think of themselves as noble. There's no shame. They find themselves noble. They think they're good. And that is what makes them terrifying, and that's what makes them dangerous. But I will tell you this. The whole celeb thing where they come out and they lecture you with furrowed brow, and they're like, oh my gosh. And they all of a sudden, they love the Constitution and they love law, even though they're leaving behind the most lawless, unconstitutional president in history in their wake. All of a sudden, they're real concerned with law and Constitution. They know nothing of either, but they're waxing and spouting and spitting. And ladies and gentlemen, every time they do this, the American people just like Trump more. All this stuff was tried. Hollywood's disconnected. Hollywood's clueless. Hollywood's lives are vapid and meaningless, which is why they're even doing this to begin with. Try to give their life meaning. Otherwise, they're just puppets, reciting somebody else's words. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, just to show you just the nature of the mean-spiritedness and the actual hate and the actual bigotry and the actual closed-mindedness of the left. A black college is now reviled and just getting hate mail, getting threats for agreeing to play the inauguration. But a fairly unknown university. The students get an opportunity of a lifetime to play before a national audience, to go to Washington, D.C., all the things that normal human beings would want to do. They're vile, they're attacked. So if you don't agree with the left, if you don't lockstep with the left, if you don't spout what they want, if you think for yourself, do for yourself, want to have an experience for yourself, want to participate in something for yourself, no. Because the left determines what you get to do based on your skin color, right? In this case, they're black students. How dare they do that? Betrayal. Do you see what they do? They, my friends, are actually racist. They, my friends, are actually bigoted. They, my friends, are actually closed-minded. It is them projecting that hate and that venom onto their opponents. And when America has the epiphany, and I think they've had it and are having it, they will drive a wedge, a deeper and deeper wedge. Hallelujah for this wedge between them and leftism, which is the arsenic in the veins of our great republic, which is the arsenic in the veins of our pursuit of freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Brock Lawley program. Be a people of fortitude, character, and courage.